I was just watching an interview between Tucker Carlson and Mike Huckabee, who's the US ambassador to Israel. And I mean, it was frustrating to listen to because there are so many erroneous statements said on behalf of Mike Huckabee, who was defending Israel no matter what, even to the disparagement of the very country that he was there purported to support and be representative of, which is the US. And of course, anyone with the intellectual curiosity can see very clearly that Mike Huckabee is compromised. He is bought and sold by the highest bidder, who in this case are the Zionist billionaires who have been responsible for the very creation, for the sustenance and the constant and also the conglomerate of military corporations that support this unfortunate state of affairs, and and by state of affairs I mean the settler colonial project that is Israel. Now, it it is frustrating to listen to his erroneous statements, but it's also, whilst I'm very much appreciative of Tucker Carlson and how he's questioning the Zionist state and the commitment of the US to a Zionist state at the expense of their own citizens, Tucker Carlson also made a few errors as well. But today I'll be discussing more of Mike Huckabee's his own errors. First of all, he made the made the assumption, rather the he was pushing the propaganda, the Hasbara, the Israeli propaganda, that Israel has the right to exist. Israel has a right to exist, which is a constant argument that is used to deflect away from the naysayers to the critics and to those who criticize the war crimes of Israel. Now, here's the thing. People don't have an issue with any particular nation existing. Nations have a right to exist with an asterisk. Nations have a right to exist in the same way that we all have a right to a home, right? We all have a right to a home. But just because we have a right to a home doesn't mean we can kick people out of their own homes so we can supplant ourselves and take over their home. It is really that simple. So Israel has a right to exist, but not at the expense of the Palestinians existing. And I don't know why Tucker Carlson did not follow this thread. Israel has a right to exist in the same way that Palestinians have the right to exist, which is a contradiction term because Israel itself is a displacement propaganda. It's a displacement project. It itself, from its foundation, is a problem. Just because it is based on racial supremacy, ethnic supremacy, religious supremacy. And this is due to the erroneous beliefs, unfortunately, in this religion that sees its these people, this ethnicity, as superior to other people. Now, let's not forget that this is the first monotheistic religion on the planet. In fact, scholars would argue that Judaism was very much influenced by Zoroastrianism, which is a monotheistic religion, and it turned more monotheistic in the kind of like exchange of ideas between these two different religions, two peoples, in this case Persians and the Jews, following the actions of King Cyrus the Great in freeing the Jews from Babylonian captivity. But I'm digressing here. Mike Huckabee making an argument that Israel has a right to exist is it's a misleading argument because rights are tied in with responsibilities. You have a right to a home, but you do not have the right to take over somebody else's home in order to occupy their home. You do not have that right. right? You have a right to safety, but not at the expense of other people's safety. So this is something that is a racist kind of argument, because you completely centering, and you are pearl clutching about the suffering of one group of people, and ignoring and deflecting away, and simply disparaging the rights of another people. So um, that's open and shut case. It can't get more simpler than that. Mike Huckabee also says that Israel has a right to exist due to biblical reasons, and also widely accepted legal structures. Israel has a right to exist because it follows international law, which it's not a surprise here that he discounts any kind of international body that has oversight with regards to international law, because the ICC has clearly said that Israel has broken international law time and time and time again. The United Nations have passed UN security resolutions that say that Israel has broken international law time and time and time again. Um, so this insistence that Israel has a right to exist because it follows international law, it is kind of a self-report. It means Israel does not have the right to exist because it doesn't follow international law. Only that he would disregard any kind of questioning of Israel's commitment to international law, because he is in his self-interest, in his current job, the fact that he's being paid by the Israel government, or by powerful interests that are Zionist. It's in his interest to lie and to support Israel. It's not in his interest to tell the truth, or be curious about the truth, or do the very basic investigation with regards to Israel, because it means that he would lose his occupation, he would lose his job. So Mike Huckabee, from the onset, is compromised. He cannot be responsible to the truth. He's responsible rather to his own self-interest. So already here, two big reasons. Third reason, he says that God gave Israel to the Jews. Now, first of all, in terms of human history, even if we were to regard Judaism existing for 3,800 years, which actually is not true, because from its onset, from the beginning of Judaism, it was more of a polytheistic religion. Only it concentrated on monotheism over time, but it's a constantly fluid religion. But who were the Jews before the foundation, the invention, the fabrication, the creation, the plagiarism of this religion? I mean, they're obviously people who were existing as either Canaanites, or if you were to believe the biblical records, it would be from the city of Ur, which descendants or the ancestors of Abraham came from. I mean, these are all social constructs. And as far as human history is concerned, 3,800, even though that is a very much it's a very liberal kind of number, that's a drop in a bucket in terms of human history. So give me a break. Secondly, it flies in the face of any kind of liberal modern way of thinking about the world. This is a racist way of looking at one group versus other groups. It's a racial supremacist worldview, and I do not believe in racial supremacy. I believe in universalism. So that's another reason why Mike Huckabee is obviously he's doing out self-interest, but the greater implication is that Mike Huckabee's life matters less than the so-called chosen people. So we've touched upon 4 points in which Mike Huckabee is wrong. In the future, I'll be touching upon why Tucker Carlson is wrong. Tucker Carlson talks about how the people who created Stonehenge are the same people who are existing right now in Britain, the so-called English people. Actually, the Anglo-Saxons are fairly new to the island of British Isles. The Anglo-Saxons, which would be colloquially the English, even though technically, genealogically, the English are a mixture of different peoples. The Anglo-Saxons come from mainland Europe. They don't come. They're not the originators, indigenous to the British Isles for thousands and thousands of years. That he says that have been there indigenous. No, the Celtic people are more indigenous than the Anglo-Saxons. But anyways, more on this in the future. Please like, comment, and subscribe. They'll be very much appreciated. Thank you.